feel like it's gonna work this time. Okay, let's fix the box. The box. Yep. Okay, let's just delete that from behind me. Not the iPhone. See, I was about to mess something up again. No, don't delete that. Delete this. Audio input. Can you guys hear me on YouTube now? I think there's a little bit of a delay, but we'll see. I think I was like the struggle zone. But you know, you live and you learn. Let's give YouTube a second to see if you guys can hear me. Goodness gracious. Can you guys hear me on YouTube now? Oh God. Okay, I think you guys can now. There's like, I hear the delay. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, all right, here we go. Thank you so much for all the gifts. Thank you. It took me a minute. You know what I'm saying? Like, it always stumps me when I'm using Streamlab, but it only 17 minutes into the stream. I'm finally here to introduce myself. Hi, you guys. I am Kady. Hi, Kamani and KadyRoxz. And we are here for Thank God Friday Roxz for a couple of reasons. One, I was like, I think we need a reason to gather. So like I created like a Discord community. If you have not joined Discord, you will find it in my relevant bio places, and it's really just there for like-minded people to like chat and feel like they have community, because I really feel like if you like my videos, everybody who likes my videos has something in common. You feel me? Like I feel like everybody who watches my videos and feel like they get something out of it, they have common values. And all I hear a lot of people saying is like, nobody else is saying stuff like this, and I wish I knew more people who thought like this. But at least, I mean, on TikTok, I have 250,000 followers, and on Instagram, I have like almost 70K. And so, look, you got a community right here with me. You know what I mean? And so I was like, let's create a Discord where we can meet and connect and chat about things in depth in ways that we can in the comment sections, because we're in mixed company. And sometimes like the icky people come and find us, and it's like, ugh, I just want to talk about the experience. So the Discord is there for you, right? But I was like, but it was getting kind of boring, and it was my fault, because I was like, I need to find a way to stimulate people. So I was like, what if we have a reason to come together like every week to talk about things that are important and to try new things? Because like my whole thing is like, the magic is we create magic when we like make it, when we try stuff. And so something that I really want to get good at is like doing my makeup again. Like, because I used to be good at it. I need you guys to understand this for a second. So I was a pageant baby, and then I was in theater, and I was a dancer for a while, and then like I just stopped. And all those things, I used to do all my own makeup. Like I used to take the courses on, because they taught us this in theater, how to beat and snatch. And then I just stopped caring in college, because I was like, whatever. But but now there's so many cute little looks that I want to start practicing again, but like on a budget. And then I challenged myself some time ago. I was like, well, let's go to like 5 and below and see what we can find. And so we're gonna see if I can do something with my face with materials from 5 and below. Oh, and this, look at this cute little brush. It's like the brush. Have you guys heard of this? And so we'll do some stuff, but we'll mostly like chat about the Dan Humphrey syndrome as promised. We'll talk about dating apps in general, because like I just downloaded a bunch of them a few weeks ago, and I feel like I've gotten the hang of it a little bit. Like I figured out how to cut through the noise to get through to the type of people I would like to meet. And so we'll talk about that, and then we'll do some Q&A. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me today. Hi VIP 2010. You follow me on both TikTok, or you're watching me both on YouTube and TikTok, because you are the best. You know what I mean? And so I'm diving right in. So have you guys seen Gossip Girl? And so Gossip Girl is basically the show that was like really popular in the late 2000s, early 2010s. And so I think like a lot of people in my audience are my age or younger based on analytics. And so I know for me, Gossip Girl, like I was just barely old enough to watch Gossip Girl. I think that's correct. Yeah, because I remember when there was like all the scandal around the show, because it was too sexy, it was too much. They were really just running around in like cocktail dresses. It really was not racy compared to things like Euphoria, right? And all Pretty Little, when did Pretty Little Liars start? But it wasn't that racy compared to what we watch today for teenagers. But like back then, you would have thought that they were like doing the dirty on camera. My God, like there are slander campaigns against it. But it's basically, Gossip Girl was like, basically for me, it's like Sex in the City meets, or Smex in the City meets 90210 basically. And so it's like these teenagers who are rich and fabulous in their lives, and so it centers around a young girl named Serena van der Woodsen coming back into town from going to it wasn't rehab, it was like boarding school, right? And so she comes back into town, and the minute she does, it's like her arrival is published to this website, and people were like, oh my God, Serena's back, because nobody knew why she left in the first place. Do you feel me? And so like it was just this rich and popular girl who disappeared out of thin air, and so of course people were gossiping about it. And so back then social media wasn't a big thing, and so everybody was like, wow, look at this blog that knows where Serena came from. So first and foremost, Gossip Girl emerges on the strength of like having insider information about Serena van der Woodsen, who is like the it girl. Okay. And we also see at the beginning of the series this boy who calls himself Lonely Boy named Dan Humphrey. And so Dan Humphrey is basically so his background. So he lives in Brooklyn with his sister and dad, and he is like on scholarship, I think, at this preppy school that Serena and all her friends go to. And so they're outsiders, or that's what Dan believes. He believes that they are outsiders because they're poor. But what is us? You feel me? Because like Jenny wasn't unpopular. For those of you who've seen the show, did you notice? Because like here's the thing that I hang my hat on. Dan was not unpopular because he was poor. Dan was not unpopular because of he liked books. Like, come on, like this is one of the like top institutions in the country in this series, and you're telling me you believe that you are the only person at this private school who likes to read books? Thank you for the heart, Kenya. Like, let's be so for real right like now. Even like the main villain of the series, who is like named Blair Waldorf, the ultra mean girl villain, her whole thing is getting into Yale. Wasn't it Yale? Was it Yale or Princeton? She wanted to go to Yale, I think. And so she's all about extra classes. She like loves classic literature. Like she's obsessed with Breakfast at Tiffany's. Like, so like he's not the only academic in this series. Like he's just really like delusional first and foremost. Like he's like, people don't like me because I read books and I think. But when you really pay attention to the series, Jenny, who lives in the exact, his sister, who lives in the exact same household as him, like, she's not having the same experience as Dan. Like she goes to school and people like her. Like in the very beginning, before Jenny started getting a little cray cray, a little dizzy, a little delulu, Blair liked her. Blair liked Jenny. Blair was like actively involving Jenny in things. Like she was not a victim. And so it's like, Dan, are you really unpopular because you're poor? Or are you unpopular because you suck? Because we also see at the very beginning of the series that Dan, he gets on the bus to go to school, and we're introduced to a few of the other characters, Nate and Chuck. And Nate and Chuck are on the bus having a personal A and B conversation, and Dan Humphrey is just standing behind them like a little creep. He's just standing behind them like a little creep, listening to their conversation. And Chuck is like, "Do you mind? Like, do I know you?" And then Dan is like, "Oh, we go to the same high school. Did you notice we're wearing the same thing?" But it's like, Chuck's not really, like, that's not what it's about. Chuck is like, "Why are you so close to me?" Right? Like, why are you listening to my conversation? Dan was weird, you guys. Dan was so weird. Dan was weird. And Dan could not make peace with the fact that he was a little weirdo. That really got off to existing on the fringe, on the outside of society as like an outsider. He couldn't cope with that. Could not cope with it. Could not see himself. Like, he's so perceptive. He knows everything, but he can't see himself, which is not uncommon in high school, right? Like in high school, you're figuring it out. You're trying to figure out who you are, who your friends should be, where you want to go to school. So that's fine. But the problem is, as we were talking about in the video that I posted, was that most men never grow out of that. Most men never grow out of this Dan Humphrey syndrome, where they believe that, like, oh, people don't like me. It must be because I'm ugly. It must be because I'm too smart. It must be because I'm so alternative. I'm so different. But it's like, no, dude. It's like the way you act. It's like the way you behave, right? Because, like, it's not that you're poor. It's women don't dislike you because you're poor. Women don't. Hello, first off, how many girlfriends have you ever had where you're like, hey, don't talk to him, he's dusty, or don't talk to him, he's this. Like, I don't know why men can't get it through their heads, and I say this all the time. If a woman wants you and wants to sleep with you, nothing in this world can stop her, unfortunately. Unfortunately. Do you see, like, these horror stories of women dating these horrible guys? Like, the guy drives her car. The guy takes her check. The guy, like, God forbid, even puts his hands on her, talks to her horribly, never does anything for her, and she holds him down. So I'm like, you're not telling me women don't like you because you're broke. Like, some of the brokest men I know live off of women, right? And it's like, you're not telling me women don't like you because of all these things. Like, if a girl likes you, she likes you. But all you really have to do, you have to give her the opportunity to like you, though. And so most men don't leave space for that. So they develop this complex, well, I'm different. And it really just comes from insecurity, which, first and foremost, everybody has insecurities. There's nothing wrong with that. What can be wrong is what you do with your insecurities, okay? You can put them in the wrong place. You can do the wrong thing. And so I think a lot of times with women, and of course, these things are not gender specific, but because we exist in a society that treats us a certain way or teaches us how to behave a certain way based on what we look like, how we present in the world, there are little clusters of, like, here is what's popular within a gender because this is how this gender was socialized. Hello. Like, we're not saying it's exclusive to, but we're saying this is most likely to be a thing because this is how people are socialized. And so what's really popular for women is that we're taught to internalize our insecurities, right? Like, we're taught our insecurities are our problems, and we need to change, and we need to evolve, and we need to meet the standards of other people. But a lot of times men get messages like, you know, you become popular and lovable through, like, forcing the world around you to change. And so I think a lot of men develop this complex of, like, well, if people don't like me, people must be the problem. And if girls don't like me, girls must be the problem, which women get a lot of, like, of the opposite thing. And so I think when you have something like, oh my God, guys, have you guys used this before? These are terrifying. Like, I bought these from the 5 and Below store like a few weeks ago, and I'm still trying to figure it out. It's very scary. Do you see this contraption? Like, oh my God, like, what have you guys really been curling your eye? This is so scary. I can't finish my statement until yeah, I pinched myself. Okay, that just takes practice. Anyway, what I was saying was like a lot of times they develop this complex where they're just kind of like, it's everybody else's fault. And so I think that's the thing with Dan and a lot of guys. They go like, oh, it's girls' fault for not having my interest. And then they also start to internalize messages that are just kind of specific to them. And so if they go to school somewhere where people don't like what they like, or girls just don't happen to be interested in them, they like, this is just how women are. Like they have no concept of like, maybe that was just a very specific experience to that person or that situation or that point in the world. Like they can't do it for whatever reason, or they won't do it for whatever reason. They're like, oh, this must be how all women are. So like if a woman is attractive by my standard, then she must be like have a horrible personality, which is kind of silly because like what are you saying about yourself if that's what you're attracted to? It's like, what is this theme of men never holding themselves accountable for their own desires and what they're attracted? They're like, all pretty girls are vapid. I was like, is it that all pretty girls are vapid, or are you attracted to people who are vapid? You know, like I don't know. It's like, are you sure? It's like, maybe this is, it's kind of like social media algorithms where people were like, why is my whole feed like ADHD stuff? Why are you scrolling ADHD stuff? The algorithm's gonna give you stuff that you like, that you interact with. And it's like, I feel like that's how men are with like women. They're like, why are all the pretty women so shallow? I was like, are all pretty women shallow, or are you attracted to shallow people? Or are these women shallow, or are you showing up in the world in a way that makes them feel a little maybe not into you? And because they're a little bit not into you, they're not willing to show you their personality. That's how I think. Because like even the shallowest woman I've ever met, she wasn't really shallow, right? It's like there's how she might want to present to the world, but like it doesn't mean that's like who she is like in her heart. You know what I mean? It's like everybody has like, this is what I present to the world, and here's what the people I care about get to me. Like honestly, I don't agree that like shallow people exist for real. I mean, they do kind of, but are you walking with me? Like it's just like, here's surface level, and then like, why are you meeting somebody new and expecting them to give you like the depths of their heart? Like that's crazy to me. Like make space for the fact that like people don't know who you are, like, and that's okay. Like I feel like I recently ran into that with you know, I'm on the dating apps, or like not Tinder, not Bumble, not even Hinge, not those. I'm on some other dating apps as I've been talking about on Discord. And like there was an experience where I matched with somebody, and I'd been chatting with him for a week, like 7 days, maybe 7 or 8 days, right? And he says something that's like a little iffy, and I asked questions like, what does this mean, and what do you mean by this? And I remember by the end of that interaction, he was like, wait, do you think I'm a bad person? He was like, it kind of seems like you think I'm a bad person because of what I said to you. And I was like, well, the point is, I don't know if you're a bad person or not, because I'm getting to know you. And conversation is the function, the medium through which I'm getting to know you. And so if you say something that's kind of bad and sketchy, then yes, I'm going to evaluate whether this means you're a good person or a bad person, because I don't know. I don't have any context. And he was like, oh, I guess that makes sense. I'm like, yes, it does make sense. It's like, why would you not simply put your best foot forward? Why would you put forth something that's sketchy and could be perceived poorly, and then be shocked and then be surprised that I'm like taking this as like a potentially to be your character? It's like men kind of feel like women should like them no matter what, because he was like, oh, you're going to judge me based on what I say? Yes. Because he was like, well, after I said it, you seem like a little less warm and a little less into me. Yes. The more I get to know you, the way I feel about you will evolve. That's how it's supposed to work. You know what I mean? Like, what are you saying? Like, what are you saying? It's been, and he was like, she just seemed like so confused. I was like, I've known you for 8 days. I don't know if you're a good person or not. I think we have a lot in common, and we're having conversations so that I can get to know you. But like, you know, you chose to say that to me. Like, we didn't stumble upon that, nothing. You just said that. And so you submitted this information to me I evaluated it and I said, what does this mean? And you're like shocked that I didn't assume it's a joke or think it's silly. I was like, no, I didn't know if you meant it or not. So I asked you, hey, do you know that's harmful? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I'm going to look at the comments a second. Thank you for the follows. Pretty women are stressed out. Yeah, I'm good. I'm trying to bring the magic back into life. Like it's all the energy up, the energy. You know, why do we have to explain stuff? Yeah, I don't know. I think men kind of just feel like once, this is why dating apps are hard, because like you match because you like each other. It's really like you're interested in each other, but you match because you like each other. And I think a lot of men think once a woman likes them, that's it. They're good. That's all. She's down. You know what I'm saying? Like what? And then the comments on TikTok, not TikTok, can I talk? YouTube, it frustrates me. It frustrates me. I had to explain this to them. Yeah. Oh, you put it in both places. You're a rock star. I love you. Yeah, it's like, why you should be evaluating me in the same way. You know what I'm saying? And no doubt they are. Like, I don't think women get a pass. But he was just so shocked. And I think, I don't know, it's just so weird. It's like they think once you like them, that's it. That's all. You're in. I'm like, no, I'm still evaluating. I'm still learning. And my eyes are open. And I'm like, you have to stay rooted in like reality. You know what I'm saying? It's not realistic to like, I don't know. That just confused me so bad that he was like, you think I might be a bad person? I was like, I think I don't know. Like, why would I not pay attention to what you said to me and take that as like a character judgment? I was like, and then it's not a judgment because I didn't like tell you, I didn't say you're a bad person. I investigated. Like, he was upset that I was investigating the thing. I was like, well, you said it. And I'm also expecting that when I say things, you investigate that too. Like, you care about who I am as well. This is actually a really nice mascara. I'm saying this like I know a lot about mascara, but I think this is a nice mascara. I also got like the cat mirror from Five and Below. It's very cute, is it not? It's adorable to me. And so like, what in the world? Rushing for intimacy has not been earned. Exactly. It's like, women are women vapid, or do you just not care to get to know who they are, right? Like, like, are women vapid? Are women shallow? Or do you just like not care to earn it? Like, and that's what I mean when I say, like, thank you for saying that, Nin. Am I saying your name correctly? Thank you for saying that, Nin, because it's like, people tell me, or like on the internet, they're like, there are all these games that people want to play. And I'm like, no, it's not playing games when I say I don't want to talk to a person that I just met every day. I mean, I'm saving space for myself. So that's the first thing. It's like, I'm not going to change the cadence of my life just because I'm getting to know somebody. Do you feel me? It's like, I'm not walking around the world waiting for a relationship to come give me purpose, to come give me something to do. Like, I have things to do. I've invented a life for myself that I enjoy. And so it's like, I don't have empty spaces in my life. I have space that I'm willing to make to get to know people, because I know when you're dating, you have to have space for dating. You have to you can't be like, I'm dating, and then like, because we've all been with people like that. They're like, oh, I'm just so busy. And you're like, why did you pursue me then if you're so busy? You knew you were busy when you tried to talk to me. So like, it's not doing that to people, but it's like, I'm going to create space so that I can get to know you, but you don't get my everyday. And then it's like, also that's exhausting, right? Because like, when you're getting to know someone, there's a level of performativeness that is just inherently there, because it's like, you're trying to be on your best behavior. And then it's also like, there's so much to consider. You know how like when you're learning something, how you feel tired more often? Have you guys noticed that? Like, when you're learning something new, like, you just feel tired all the time, but it's because like, you're using a lot of mental energy. You're trying to process it. You're trying to understand it. Getting to know people is the same thing. It's just like, I don't want to be in an unfamiliar scenario every single day. It makes me so tired. Like we can't FaceTime for 6 hours every night. Like, I go to bed. Like, one night might be cute, but like every night, no, I have to go to bed and wake up and I have a whole day and I have a whole night. Like, I've not just been waiting for a relationship to come give me purpose. And like, that's all I'm saying. They're like, no, like if you like someone, da da da. I was like, yeah, but like don't sacrifice your life to somebody that you've known for like 20 days. Keep your life, keep your schedule, fit them in, but don't like center them. It's like the reason why you get so sad over these failed like talking and early dating stages is because like you put so much stock in it. Like, yes, be optimistic, have faith, but it's like don't give them all this precedent. Give them enough respect and space so that you can pay attention to who they are, because like once you start like being caked up on the phone all day every day, your brain is what, learning a pattern, a habit. You're making a person that you don't know yet a habit for your brain, right? Y'all talk about limerence, da 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 da. I was like, is it limerence, or is it like you created a new neural pathway pattern for your brain? Like your brain is just doing what it's like programmed to do, baby. Like, leave space for yourself, and then it's like allow yourself to like get to know who that person is and ask questions. Stay in reality. Kind of like, don't assume people are joking. I feel like the biggest mistake you can make when getting to know people, dating and in the workplace, is to assume that they're joking when they say something crazy. I don't. And I feel like this has made me a little unpopular, but I don't care, because it's like, you said that for a reason. What's the reason? Do you feel me? It's like, no, I think you said that for a reason. But like, what's the reason? Hi, guitar clock. And it's like, either, you know, like, why would I not investigate it? You know, like, so I matched with somebody and they sent me like, one of the messages they sent me was like, do you think Diddy did it? I was like, hold on. I was like, hold on. Why would you just bring that up out of the blue? And then why did you phrase it like that? Like, do I think Diddy did it? Do I do you think there's a possibility that like oh my God, I forgot this lights up. This just scared the crap out of me. I was like, what? I love this little mirror. Oh my God. And I'm like, why would you, wait, do you think Diddy might be innocent? You think he maybe didn't do any, like, what do you mean? It's like asking, do you think Bill Cosby did it? Like, why is that the question? Like, and I investigated, and people were like, you might be am I overthinking? Or like, is it crazy that somebody asks me, somebody who wants to romantically impress me, who knows I'm a woman, who knows that I'm highly opinionated on these types of things because of my platform, went out of their way, because like nothing triggered it. There was nothing out of the way to talk about Diddy. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Mina. Here's the thing about Diddy. Think of the most unprogressive, misogynistic, antagonistic MFer that you know. He thinks Diddy is weird. Men think Diddy is weird. And so here you are saying, do I think he did it? What do you mean? What do you mean? Do you like, you want to discuss his potential innocence? And then you're saying this to me in a dating app. I need you guys to come back to why would you say this in a dating setting? Like, you don't have me yet, right? I'm not in, we just met. That's what I mean. Like, it's kind of like men don't think that they need to make a good impression, or they don't think that like you can think critically about their behavior. I feel like that's what being on dating apps has been teaching me, is that I don't think men think that women are capable of thinking critically about their behavior. Like, it did not occur to him that I might think he's a little weird for wanting to talk casually about the innocence of Diddy. What, like that? Why is that on your heart and spirit? Like did what like that was so, you know what I mean? It's like little stuff like that, and then like he made like another joke that was kind of, I'm like, why? And so it's like, and then he was like surprised that I'm taking this as like information to understand who he is. He's like, why would you take what I said as context of who I might be? Because you said it on purpose, intentionally, to me. Like, it started as a thought in your head, which is private. You're like, yeah, here's the thought. And you thought about it, and then you typed it out. You looked at it, you read it, and you're like, F yeah, and you hit send. You sent it on purpose. You sent that to me on purpose, right? And you want to in a scenario where we are talking to learn about each other. What do you mean? Why did I take that? You know, like what do you mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just, you know, like I just can't sometimes. I'm just like, what do you take me for? What do you take me for? Like, I can't. Never too early to establish your expectations when communicating. We want someone who's decisive and thinks before speaking. Yes and no. So this comment said, we want somebody who's decisive and thinks before speaking. Yes and no, right? Like, think before speaking, but because we are talking so that I can understand who you are, I don't want you to filter, right? And so, like, I don't believe in necessarily correcting people on stuff like that in the beginning, because, like, I don't want to teach people how to deceive me, if that makes sense, right? Like, I don't want to tell them that something's a red flag. I want them to present themselves as they are so I can evaluate if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference in between learning who someone is and teaching a partner who you already feel good about, who you've already chosen, how to love you and how to, like, communicate with you. Those are two total, and people conflate that all the time, which really annoys me about the internet, because people were like, why should I have to tell my partner that I want flowers? He should just know. And what they're trying to communicate is that they want to be in a relationship where there's an established culture of love and affection, but they're conflating it with this ideal of, like, learning who a person is, right? And so it's like, if you've gotten to the point in a relationship where you've been together for a while and you've chosen this person, you should be willing to teach them a little bit about what your boundaries are, what your comforts are, not to love you. You can't teach someone to love you, but you can teach people what makes you feel loved, if that makes sense. Like, there's people who like to cake on the phone. Not me. I'm an Aquarius moon. Leave me alone. You know what I'm saying? My default attitude at all times is leave me alone. But if I have a partner who's a little more anxious, a little more insecure, which isn't inherently a bad thing, and they just like to cling a little bit, I give a little. So I don't give so much that I become uncomfortable, but like I'm comfortable with it a little bit, but I could personally go for it never, if that makes sense. And so I'll meet in the middle of, like, oh, well, I would naturally think to FaceTime you just because I'm free, but like I can do it and I'm willing to, but I wouldn't naturally do that. And it doesn't mean that I don't love you, but it's just not something I would naturally do. So it's like, it's okay to teach people what makes you feel loved. And then vice versa. It's like, oh, what makes me feel loved is like when you just kind of like leave me alone sometimes. Like, I don't need you to check in with me all. I'm doing stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to FaceTime you because I have downtime, because I might be like filming for social media. I'm always filming. Can we just talk about that? The content creator hustle and being an artist. And so people are like, what are you doing today? I'm like, what am I always doing today? I'm either filming something, I'm editing something, I'm writing something, I'm reviewing stats, I'm working on my music. There's always something to do when you're a content creator, guys. They're like 100%. Like, I'm always doing something. Either I'm sleeping, I'm chilling, I'm hanging out with my dog, or I'm doing something like this, you know? And so it's like, free time is a little different when you are like a full-time creator and you're freelance. It's just different. And so it's like, there's always something I can do. And so people don't get that. Let me see. I'm an Aquarius. You leave me alone. Yeah. But it's like, yeah, they don't, I don't know. It's like, but I think it goes back to what we said about the Dan Humphrey syndrome. It's like, it's a projection. And so there's this ideal that like nobody likes them, and so they just assume that like the world kind of works for everybody how it works for them. It's like those people who can't really see that like people can make different choices. I don't know how to say that like the way I want to. My brain is kind of like, it's buffering a little bit, but it's like they don't get it. And so it's like, and I guess it's like they believe that they can attract people with, I don't even know that's true. I was about to say they believe they can attract people with like, without having a good personality, because they don't care about your personality. They kind of don't care about your personality, but they do at the same time. Does that make, you know what I mean? It's like, I feel like all the time that men just, you know, they look for these little, here's the thing I want to check off, but then they don't actually care about the depth of who you are. And so it's like this weird thing where you got to be this, they'll be like, oh, I need a woman who brings something to the table. I need a woman who's accomplished, da, 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 but they don't really care who you are, which in the video that I'm currently editing for YouTube, long form, I talk about how it's weird to me, it's very weird to me that men are like very strict on what constitutes as a good woman. They'll be like, to be a good woman, you got to do X, you got to do Y, you got to do Z, you got to do all this stuff. And there's this big thing about, if you do this stuff, then this means you respect yourself. So like, I only want to be with a woman who respects herself. It's a huge, you know, if you have a high body count, or if you don't go to the gym, you don't respect yourself. But it's like, do men respect themselves? But in the example that I use is, if you're on Twitter, if you're on X, there was a viral tweet where this guy was talking about how he knew after the second drink that he did not like his date. He was like, I didn't like her. He didn't like her as a person. He was like, I knew then I didn't like her. But then he goes on to say that like he slept with her. And everybody was, he's like, it was really like, I still hit though. And people were like, my boy, you knew you didn't like her from the jump, and you still slept with her. Like, that's not a win, not for you. I was like, she got free food, free drinks, and free hop on pop. But you had to pay for that and endure physical intimacy with somebody you didn't like. And so it's like, that's not self-respect. And if a woman were to describe that scenario, men would be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they would like, you had to sleep with the guy. Like, it's weird how it doesn't connect, and which is really, but a really sad way too. You know what I mean? It's like, it's in a really, really sad way, because it's like, nobody should be sharing their body with people that they don't like. But men kind of like pride themselves on this because they've been convinced that like, just to have a woman is to dominate her. And this is winning. But it's like, are you winning if you're so deeply uncomfortable? And it's like, that's what I mean with like, these ideas that a lot of men call misandry really actually create a pocket of protection for them too, in a way that like misogyny and patriarchal minded men do not create safe spaces for men. Like, there is this thing where like men really shut down the emotions, the emotional need of other men. But when women come in and say, hey, no, I have the right to say no to something that makes me uncomfortable, or men that I don't want to be in a relationship with, men fail to understand that like, we have this view for everybody. It was like, nobody should be sharing their bodies with people that they don't like. Nobody should be in relationships with people they're not attracted to. Like, we're not saying we don't want to do it as women and that men should. No, you are, which is why I think they're so upset, because I think that's a little bit built into like the patriarchal culture of what men do. They're like, we just endure because have a woman. And so it's like, a lot of it isn't that like, I think men really believe that women need to have a man at all costs. I think it's that men believe that they have to have a woman at all costs. And in this video, I go on to say, how exhausting is that to believe that like your ability to affirm your gender, and so the only way to affirm your masculinity is to dominate another human being. I was like, that seems very sad and uncomfortable, and just like, I would not wish that on my worst enemy. I'm gonna look at the chat for a second. Hello, people. And I keep forgetting there's like a little bit of a delay on YouTube, so they're getting caught up. Oh my goodness. This is what I mean. It's hard for me to talk and do stuff at the same time. But you guys, thank you guys for being here. What's my definition of a good woman? A woman who feels good about herself. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't think all those things are so arbitrary. And so like, good is subjective, and I don't really like to talk in terms of things that are subjective, because what's good, what's this, that it doesn't matter really. Like, it's like, are you happy? Are you healthy? Are you safe? Do you feel cared for? Do you feel comfortable in your environment? You know what I'm saying? So you can define, because like words like good and bad are really just used to control people, to control the behavior of others. And so I'm like, I don't really align with that. But you know, what's a good or bad person? I mean, bad person is somebody who doesn't care about the autonomy and personal boundaries of others, you know? And so a lot of times when we talk about these things, as these antagonistic men like to point out, it's not about gender, but we are talking about gender because what did we say before? A lot of behaviors are socialized based on what you look like and how you show up in the world. And so they end up being more popular in one gender than the other. And so it's not that it's like exclusive to, but it's like it's popular within. But it's like it is popular within male culture to believe that to exhibit these behaviors that are a little undesirable, to believe that like, okay, you know, the only way to have like masculinity, like a lot of women's, the difference is, so like a lot of men believe that their masculinity again is their based on their ability to like hold somebody or something in subjugation. So like, in the easiest thing to do, I'm just gonna, I can't type and talk at the same time. I'm gonna write this: join us on live. And so I'm gonna type that and hit send and finish my sentence. Bam, it's sent. Anyways, and so a lot of them, you know, they carry this belief that the only way that they can validate their gender is to be able to hold a woman in subjugation, because it's like, this is how I do this. It's almost like a form of currency. And so, and I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole because I'm not a big fan of like the creators who talk a lot about how like, have you guys seen it? They talk about how like the female body is a form of currency. And so I don't want to go down that path because like some of those ideas, they're not wrong, but I don't like the way they express them. That can be very harmful. But I think what they mean to say is that a lot of men treat the feminine body as a form of currency. Like if you have women and you can control women emotionally and you have access to her body and her heart and her energy, it becomes like a form of power. They can hold it up on a pedestal to compete with other men. And so that's definitely a thing. But in the same way, even though a lot of femininity is kind of centered around the masculine or the gaze of men, it's like, it's not contingent in the same way. Like nobody would tell you that like you're not feminine enough because you don't have a man, right? They might say that like you're not accomplished in life. They might say that like your life has no meaning, but nobody would be like, oh, you're not feminine because you're not with a man. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, whereas like a lot of men kind of experience this thing where it's like, you're not really a man until like you are sexually engaged, until you have like women. Like they're like actively taught that like the best path to validate their gender is through their interactions with women. And so that's brings us all back to like a lot of the things that confuse women about men. It's not even necessarily that they believe crazy things about women. A lot of times it's that they believe kind of crazy things about themselves. Do you feel me? And they're assuming that everybody else is operating in a very similar manner. And so like they can't, you know, does that make sense? Over on YouTube, Smitty says their masculinity is to hold a woman in subjugation. Yeah, basically. Yeah, and like if you guys like books about this types of stuff, Bell Hooks is all about love, talks a little bit about this. Comments over on TikTok. I like this generation being loud about boundaries in therapy. Yeah, it's about time, yeah. And that's why they mainly pursue women with their friends that their friends think are attractive. Hello, that's a big ringer. It's like, if you really wanted to invest yourself in getting a man that didn't want you, the path would be to like seduce his friends. And you know, and it's I don't understand it. I mean, I do a little bit. A lot of it has to do with like daddy issues. Like you didn't get the validation of your dad, but it's kind of silly because it's like, did every man who is like patriarchal in nature really not have his dad's approval? Somebody must have had their dad's approval, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's hard to believe that it's just that, but it's like, maybe it's that they can't get enough of it. I don't know, but I think what is important to maybe like think about in regard to that, that really helps us with the ideal of equality and intersectionalism in this world, is to realize that we talk a lot about like, why do trans people need to affirm their gender, or we don't talk about, but like in the world politics, like why do you need access to like gender affirming care and all these things, and but it's like cisgender people do gender affirming behavior all the time, right? Like, have you ever completed the sentence, oh, I just feel like a woman when I blank. I feel like a woman when I put lipstick on, or, you know, wearing lingerie makes me feel like a woman, you know, little stuff like that. And so it's like, and I say that to like, it's not inherently a negative thing to want to affirm your gender. That's okay. Like, I think more people should take more actions to affirm themselves in whatever identity they feel like they have. You know, like for me, like if I want to affirm myself as a content creator, I post content, I make content, I do stuff, I get branded. You know what I'm saying? Like if I want to feel affirmed as a singer, I book a show. If I want to feel affirmed as what I feel like I believe a woman is, I go do those actions. So it's not inherently negative for men to want to affirm their gender, or anybody, but it's like, it's the fact that their belief about how you affirm your gender is so steeped in how you treat how other people react to them. It's external. And so it's like, it's very dangerous to base something identity based, because we all need to feel good in our identities. Cannot overemphasize that enough, right? Because that correlates with self-value and worth and all of those things. But when the way that we validate our identity, whether it's our gender, who we are in this world, whatever it is external, that's dangerous, because we can't control other people, which is why we get back to, for women or whoever, it's like you have to decenter men in dating. And it's like, what do you mean? If we're dating men, shouldn't we center men? No, because the best way to attract a partner who likes you is to like root yourself in who you are. And it's like, regardless of what you believe in, regardless of like your faith or whatever, it's like there's something to be said about the way energy works and the way we attract other people. And it's like, how do we attract other people? Or the people that we attract people by, a lot of times, how we show up in the world and the way we press against other people. Thank you for sending a universe. Oh my God, I don't think I've ever gotten one of those before. That made me so happy. Thank you. And it's like, where is the thought? Oh my goodness, that made me so happy. I forgot my thought. But I think I was talking about like how we affirm like who we are. Like we need that to feel good about ourselves. About decentering men. You have to decenter men, because like that will put you in a position to where you are being inauthentic and you're playing to something, and you'll wonder all the time why you keep getting matched up with these people who don't feel like good fits, but just like you're not presenting yourself to the world as you truly are. And it's scary. And I mean, sometimes we do attract things that we're not, because when we are on a pedestal or in a platform, or light is on us, it's going to attract all kinds of people, right? Even the ones who are not compatible, people who want to drain us. And so I wouldn't say you are what you attract, but it is kind of true that you are what you entertain. But the best way to attract things that you want is to show up as what you want, right? So if you want somebody who's studious, maybe go to the library or where studious people go. If you want somebody who's into art, go to art spaces, you know? And so it's like, and people are like, it's not that simple. Yeah, it is. Because I'm not saying the minute you show up in that space, you'll 100% automatically, instantly meet a person that you want to be with. I'm not saying that. But you have a higher likelihood of finding someone you want to be with, romantically or platonically, by being in that space versus not being in a curated space. Does that make sense? I'm getting a lot of comments in both places, so I'm going to put a pin there for a second and read the comments. Over on YouTube, what do we got? Reading right now, all about love. No, I love it. Also, you guys, my reading list is in the bio of both TikTok and Instagram. It's not over on it's not on YouTube, but I'll put it in the comments later. I created a reading list. It's not just a reading list, guys. It also has my notes of my thoughts of why each book is important, the important lessons. So go ahead and download my my reading guide if you haven't yet. Beats, yeah, guys going to the barbershop to get a fresh, it's the type of gender affirming care. Exactly. Uh, yeah, yeah. It's very cis male affirming phrase. Magical, having a list of errands to run. Attract a partner who likes you. Exactly. Most people are also upset about affirmation because of a fear of truly validating themselves or resenting or not being able. Oh my God, absent-minded genius. You're not absent-minded at all, because I think that's a brilliant thing. And in my YouTube video about why you shouldn't argue with hateful people, that's really what I was reading down. I was like, you can't argue with hateful people, because usually they hate you because you trigger a realization within them that they're not in alignment with their authentic selves, or that they are, and that they're not comfortable with who they are. And so like, I love that. Thank you for the thumbs up. Oh my God. Thank you. Beats with Kev. Yes, thank you so much. Terrence says, affirming self-worth has the pushback. It does, because users want access. Yep, exactly. People want to be able to drain you. And then let's go over to the TikTok comments. Oh my gosh, I scroll too fast. That's why they mainly pursue women. Oh, I already said that. Why is it gonna end? Oh, because I haven't touched the screen. Sorry. It was gonna end my live because I hadn't touched the screen. Man, it shouldn't bother the shape because I don't get being upset. Yeah, they get upset because like they feel like somebody who lives authentically is like an aggression to them, which is so silly. It's like nobody's stopping you from being who you are, but it's like the minute you do stuff that people have like, what do you call it, drank the Kool-Aid. Somebody got mad at me, guys. I said that in a video once. It's like, you shouldn't say drink the Kool-Aid because it's not thoughtful. And I'm like, look. I try to be as respectful as possible with the language I use, but I'm like, just come on. Hi, Crescent Moon. But yeah, I think a lot of it is that like men, and that's what I said in my video. I was like, a lot of times it's not really that men hate you, which I know conflates with the video where it's like men hate you, but I was being hyperbolic in that video. I hope people understand. A lot of times it's not that men hate you, it's that they don't understand why you are operating in a way that invalidates the way that they see the world. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, a lot of them have bought into these ideas of like, you can only validate your masculinity through the other gender. And so when women aren't doing that, it's confusing. It makes them angry. It makes them feel like they wasted time. It makes them feel like they wasted their lives, which is a valid kind of grief. I should have turned the air on before I started this, but it's so warm. Ugh! It's so warm in here. You speak so well. Thank you. God, it's so warm. Ugh. And if you guys haven't joined the Discord yet, do that. The link for that is both on TikTok and in my Instagram bio. Again, my bad. In fact, I'm going to take a second to put all of these links in the chat for YouTube, because like, where do you even put these things on? Well, I'm still learning YouTube Live. There are places to put it. Do you guys want to drop questions while I'm doing this? Let's see. Where is it? Reading guide. Reading list. Where is it? Email. Reading guide. Where's my reading guide? I know I put it in here. What if I just type in this? Like, I keep like an Apple Notes of all the links that might be important so that I can quickly drop them places. Well, YouTube, here's the Discord link. And then I'll try to find my reading list. Where did I put my reading list? Oh, guess not. I don't know where I put that. Wait, Is that it? No. I thought I had, I thought I saved the reading list guide. Okay, I'm just gonna steal it from my Instagram. I'll read your comment in a sec. Sierra, welcome. Let's see. Yay, here's my reading guide. For to tube. Reading guide. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. Oh no, the link was too long. Why is the link too long? Hold on. Now it won't send it. YouTube doesn't want you guys to read, so sucks to suck. No, I'm kidding. Why would YouTube want you to read and wants you to watch videos? Yeah, basically, it's just like a space for us to meet up as a community, discuss stuff that somebody asked what my Discord was. So the Discord is basically a space for us to meet up as a community to discuss the stuff in my videos, because particularly on Instagram, where I'm a little bit more popular with the algorithm, I've noticed like the comments just really wanted to talk more about the ideas that I expressed, like with me and with each other. Like there was a thread of like over 200 replies under one of my videos of people just talking. And so I was like, what if, you know, we could, I mean, I definitely want you to keep commenting, but I was like, oh, what if there was a space for us to discuss this stuff in depth? It's a little sleepy right now, but I've been trying to figure out ways to keep it a little more engaged. So I'm thinking I'm gonna like drop questions of the days, do more streams. Thank you for the universe. I love Alexander D. Sophia. Why did I say it like that? But yeah, if you want to join the Discord, it's just like a cute little space where we can talk a little more, you know. Sierra's question. Just saw the beginning of your TikTok about men and Dan Humphrey. What does that mean? Okay, we'll run back by that because it has been a minute since we were on that topic. But I will explain for you, Sierra. Ronnie says, when was the last time you used water to change your timeline? A whole, wow, what a very different content genre for a very long time ago. It's kind of like a discussion board, Skype. Yeah. And so basically what we were saying was that if you're familiar with the TV show Gossip Girl, Gossip Girl has a character named Dan Humphrey who believes that the other characters don't like him because he's poor and he's smart. But if you pay attention to the series, Dan Humphrey, it's kind of a jerk. He's pretentious. He constantly treats the other characters like they're dumber than him, less capable. He has a really weird ego complex where he can't cope with the fact that he's a brokey. And so to cope with being a brokey, he pretends that people don't like him because he's an intellectual. And so the comparison that I made, because I told a story about how when I was 14, I had a guy best friend who I thought was the coolest person in the world because we had so much in common. And so like, that's what we bonded over. Push comes to shove one day in his excitement, he like reveals to me that he can't really believe that I am capable of thought, basically. He was like, you know, I just would have thought because you're so, he didn't really say pretty, but he's like somebody that looks like you. And then he was like a light-skinned girl would just, you know, be thoughtful. And to me, and then the context for that was that, I almost said his name. The context for that was that he wasn't very popular. And so what I realized, because people were like, well, how could she make these assumptions? I was like, because I said it happened when I was 14. And I'm definitely not 14. So we can assume that time went by and gave me more perspective through that experience. What do you mean? Oh my God. Come meet my friends for drinks. My friend just texted me. I love her. Liz. I 100% will be going to drinks with Liz after this. Hello. That made me so happy. Anyways, but basically he kind of had a complex because he wasn't popular. And so because I was one of the few people who wanted to be friends with him, I guess, he just assumed that it wasn't, you know, like, oh, it must be because like, because I guess he internalized, people don't like me because I'm so smart and I'm so different. I'm about to do something very scary with this. I'm so bad at making lines on my eyes, and I'm gonna try. I guess he just kind of like, instead of being like, oh, maybe people don't like me because I'm kind of a douche, and he was. When you hang out with a person in a vacuum, it's hard to understand who they are. Remember that for the future, ladies, especially if you're dating. Let me say that again. When you hang out with somebody in a vacuum, it's hard to understand who they are because you don't have the context of how they interact with the world. So I did not know he was a douche because, like I said, we were best friends, but he was in a different grade than me. And so we only ever hung out in French class and talked on the phone or hung out after school. So I did not get to see him interact with his classmates, but he was kind of douchey. When you hang out with somebody in a vacuum, you do not have the full context of who they are. Okay. Anyways, and so because I did not get to hang out with him with his class, I didn't know he was kind of a douche. Didn't know, didn't have context. It takes longer to get to know somebody if you don't hang out with them within the context of the world. You need to go outside. That's what it's like. I mean, one, you shouldn't be sitting on the couch of a person that you just met, and they shouldn't be sitting on your couch because, again, they're bad. They could be bad vibes. They could be harmful people. But also, like, go outside. See how they treat other people. See how their friends react to them. Like, I love it when people tell me, like, stories about, like, rumors that people have said about them, feedback. Like, yeah, tell me the feedback that the people who know you, because, like, what am I gonna do? Like, oh, can we just talk about that for a moment? Oh, I hate when somebody tells me something like, yeah, my brother or my friend from so-and-so or my classmates think that I'm kind of a douche. Like, I'm not gonna take that as information I should be considering, right? Because I don't know you. I just met you. So let's go back to, like, the dating app example. I haven't met you in person. We're talking via the app, maybe like 4 or 5 days. And you were telling me a person who has known you for years thinks you have bad vibes, and I'm not going to take that as information. I don't know. You better. Oh my God. I'll tell you one that got me. There was this guy that I started talking to because I met him through TikTok. He's also a creator. He fell into my DMs. And we have been, like, chit-chatting via text for, like, some months, 4 months. And then one day I told him, I don't know, what did I say? I complimented him on something. And he said, oh my God, that makes me so happy. My friends have never given me this compliment. He was like, in fact, my friends never compliment me. And I think he thought I was going to take that information and be like, oh, yay, I'm so glad to be the first. But I took that information like, I don't know you. I've never met you in person. But the people who know you in person, in real life, hang out with you every day or however frequently, consider themselves your friends. They don't give you compliments. They don't like you. They don't think you're a good person. I am now going to be the person who takes a step back. You know what I mean? Because it's like, why would I assume I know you better than them? Why would they have more information? Why would they have more context? What do you mean they don't compliment you? People act like I'm tripping. Thank you for the universe. People act like I'm tripping when I say these things, but I'm like, I'm getting to know you. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What does that mean? Like, you gotta pay attention, guys. Oh my God, can I say it? So, like, let me tell you about the TikTok, the reel that is in my drafts right now because I was afraid to hit send. I was afraid to hit post. Because I was like, as soon as I post this, I am going to get canceled because people are going to take this the wrong way. I saw like a vision in my mind. I was like, I'm going to hit post and somebody is going to decide that I'm talking. Somebody's going to, in their head, be like, this is victim blaming. I was like, they're going to recontextualize this whole thing into something crazy. But I'm going to tell you what it said. I said, Rumors don't come from nowhere. Lies do not come from nowhere. It does not mean that when people lie about you, they're right. I'm not saying that. But, and I'm not saying people never make things up out of thin air. I didn't say that. What I'm saying is that for the most part, people are unimaginative. People are not imaginative. And a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times, the rumors and the lies, like the things that are not true, it comes from something truthful or real that happened, right? And so it's like, for example, people will say I'm a misandrist or I'm a femcel, which is not true, but I know where that comes from. Does that make sense? Like, I know the exact behavior people are tying that lie to. I know it's because of the content I make. I know it's because of what I talk about. I know where the lie comes from. And so what I was getting to in the video, though, is that, like, people act really weird about abuse in, like, our word culture, without really understanding that there are so many people who have never been accused of being harmful, right? And so whenever a well-meaning male friend is like trying to be like, well, women lie, I look him in his eyes, and it's usually somebody I've known a few years, and so I can say the statement confidently enough. Has anyone ever accused you of being harmful? Has anyone ever accused you of the R word? And they'll be like, well, no. I was like, you know why? Because you've never even remotely put yourself in a position to be accused, right? And so it's like, it's not like believe all victims no matter what, or not all victims, believe victims, but don't, it's not believe somebody who claims to be a victim no matter what, but it's like, what was happening that accusation occurred? Like, what boundary was crossed? Because of like 9 times out of 10, if it is a lie or a rumor, it's not that it's a lie or a rumor, it's that like 2 people are interpreting things differently. Like, that person wasn't really like comfortable with what you were doing, and that person didn't pause to check it out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, if it is a lie, it's like, what were you doing that made them feel like you were harassing them? You know what I'm saying? Like, what was happening? And so it's like, a lot of times it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if somebody's lying on you and saying, oh, you're a gossip, why do they think you're a gossip? You know what I mean? So it's like, what was happening? What is the activity that you share lots of stories and information about other people? You know what I'm saying? Like, where did the rumor come from? People are not imaginative. And I knew that as soon as I posted it, somebody was going to go on a tangent and be like, she must be talking about the victims of abuse and narcissists, because, you know, abusive people will lie. My abuser lied. Like, when I took him to court, and he still got his derriere on Twitter and talked about how I beat him up. It took everything in my body not to tweet the court file. I'm like, these are public records. It's, you know, because I was like, I don't want to play, but it's, he made that up from but that's still not even thin air, really, because like, where did that came from? He's talking about reactive abuse. Like the man like pushed my arm into like a wall, sprained my wrist. And yeah, I mean, I'm not just gonna sit here and let you beat me up, so I got a few licks in too. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know where the rumor came from. And so like, that is to say, it does not mean that nobody ever makes things up out of thin air. I'm just saying, most people in this world are not creative. You know what I'm saying? They're not creative. They're not imaginative. And so bringing that back to why we're talking about it, I love when people try to defend their reputation to me unprovoked, right? Like, you'll just be sitting there eating your salad. You're having a nice conversation about, I don't know, Steven Universe, Gossip Girl. And out of nowhere, they'll be like, you know, people really think that, oh my gosh, you guys see the light flickering over here? I guess we've been on for a minute, so it might be dying. The truth that TikTok shop won't tell you, it's flickering. Oh, I don't think you can see it flickering on the live. It's, guys, we've only been on here for an hour and a half. I'm not saying don't buy it, but anyways, but you know, like, they'll start telling me a story unprovoked about how like people lie on them. I'm like, oh, what are these lies that people tell on you? Because again, even if these things are lies, they are still telling me something about like the root behavior that inspired the lie. And I just think it's interesting. I just think it's interesting. You know what? I messed this line up real bad. You guys can't see it on the camera. Yes, you can. Never mind. I said, you guys can't see. Oh, I should text Liz back. Can you guys wait 2 seconds while I text Liz back? I'm so afraid of opening my message app on my computer because I haven't opened it in a long time. And have you guys noticed that, like, if you have an iPhone and you block somebody on your iPhone and you also have a Mac, they can still send you messages on here? What are you doing tonight? I would love to. Okay, I text Liz back, guys. Which reminds me, I have a unedited video from a year ago of where, never mind, I'm not going to tell you guys. I'm just going to post it one day and watch you guys react. Because I don't include my friends in my content a lot, but I have a video sitting in the archives of like wild times. Anyways, but yeah, it's like when you're getting to know somebody, like take all the context you can get. I know I got all these water bottles. This one was propping up the light, and so now I can drink it freely. Believe people. That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? It's like, take all the information. That's what's like, yes, people can surprise you. Yes, people can change. But you kind of have to pay attention to the stuff that people give you without it being a presentation. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, there's how they want to be perceived, and then that's like what they show you. And you don't have to comment on it like I do, which will be like, why are you judging me based on my behavior? What do you mean? Why would you judge me based on my behavior? What do you mean? About the Dan Humphrey concert. His concert? It's like, what do you mean? That just, you know, it's like, what do you mean? Why am I judging you based on your behavior? What do you mean? I love this. This is not from 5 and Below. This is Fenty. This is Fenty. This is this color on my lips, which I put this thing on top of it for a little glossy. It's lip oil. I recently discovered lip oil, and I will never go back, and I am eternally grateful. Oh my god. Oh my god. You know what I mean? Ava, I love that, like, the Abbies are part of your name. You're just like dynamite, explosive. What does it mean? Thank you guys for all the gifts. Did I mean to like get started with trending? Remind your viewers to help you rank up. I don't know what any of that means, but thank you, Kenya. You helped me rank a little bit in the lives. But yeah, do you guys have questions? Let's see. I made a list of things to talk about in case people didn't come, so I could just keep it rolling. But you guys have been so interactive that I love it. But yeah, basically my goal of the live stream was like, hey, let's meet up as a community. Let's have something to do. And then also, like, I just like to remind people that like magic happens when you create it, if that makes sense. It's like, if you feel bored, go do something. If you want something to exist, go make it. Like, I'm also in the process of like remodeling my room. Like this, I put this up by myself. This is wallpaper. I put up this really cool wallpaper. I'm building a baseboard for my bed because I was like, I want my room to look more aesthetic, right? And so it's like, there's a lot that limits us based on location, education, money, and all of those things. But there's also like a lot that we can do when we decide to do what we can do. You feel me? Thank you. I got it from Amazon. The first roll, which was like a sample, was only like, what, $13-14, and then to do this entire little wall right here was like $30, which isn't bad. It's not the cheapest, but it isn't bad. You know what I mean? Like, it looks really good on camera. Yeah, I like it. I'm having fun. And so I told myself that even if everything goes wrong with this like remodel, redecor, it's okay, because I'm having fun. And when I do stuff that makes me feel like I can take control of my life, it's a win in and of itself, even if it doesn't turn out the way I want it to. Because like I feel like a lot of depression comes from feeling stuck, like you can't change, like you're just stuck in one way. But then when you could just do something like do your hair or your makeup or remodel your room, it just makes you feel like you have more power in this life. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? What? I'm like, okay. What? Where is it? There's like YouTube comments showing up in the Streamlab, but not on YouTube. But I can't like read it. But Guitar Clock, I can see your comment a little bit on Streamlab. I don't know why Streamlab is like, oh, can I pull this over? Oh, I fixed it. I was like, why is Streamlab doing this? Contribute to those communities you care about. Exactly. Exactly. And sometimes you have to like invent community for yourself. That was actually the next thing on my chat list. Because a lot of people, they get really down about the fact that they don't have spaces that they feel safe in or that like resonate with who they are and who they hope to be. But like, I mean, I'm from Tennessee, guys. Like, you know, I'm really progressive apparently for the South. But so there's not a lot of spaces that I feel good in. But I create spaces for myself. Like what did I do? Like I created like a listening night for like in my condo back when I was living in Tennessee, or had a place in Tennessee. I had like I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do a night where I put my records on my little, why did I say my record player, and I'm gonna invite people over and we'll have wine. Did it myself. And so, or you know, what was the thing that I went to? In fact, I didn't make the other thing, but I met this girl who was like a writer like I am, and she wanted more accountability. And so we just started meeting up to write together, and then like other people started joining us, and all of a sudden we had like a women's writing group. And so it's like sometimes you just have to, when you feel lonely in the world, you just have to go first and make the space for people like you. And as long as you don't carry this attitude about it not instantly like rocking, because like it can take a minute for people to become aware of spaces or what you're doing. If you just keep going, you'll feel better about it. Like I've always had those experiences. Like, you know, back when I was like playing ukulele, how many lives ago? Did you guys know I play ukulele? Back when I was playing ukulele, I was looking for a ukulele group, something. I found a ukulele flash mob group. And when I got there, it was mostly like older people. People were in like their 60s and 70s, right? Which I like older people. They're very interesting. They don't care what other people say or think. But, you know, it wasn't necessarily like the target group I wanted to meet. But I kept going because it was an activity I liked. It gave me something to do. And then one day I met this other girl who was the exact same age as me, was like also like of African-American descent, was like also living on our own in the city, and we became really good friends. And so it's like a lot of you guys get really discouraged about starting communities and joining communities because you're like, it didn't instantly give me a soulmate. Okay, yeah, nobody said it was going to happen overnight. Just keep going. That's the point of doing things you like, babe. It's like the instant gratification isn't that you find your soul tribe instantly. It's like, hey, you get to do something you really, really like, and you're investing in your own emotional, mental, psychological welfare by partaking in an activity that genuinely brings you joy. And by doing that, you will meet other people who genuinely find joy in these activities, and you might be able to connect with them, right? Like, instant gratification culture is beating your booties, and it's stealing you of, it's robbing you of your joy, your ability to really just like root yourselves in things long term and like let things go how they go. You feel me? Am I still friends with the girl from the writing group? Yeah. A lot of times I've lived a bunch of places, so a lot of people I just keep up with digitally. But yeah, we still check in for sure. In fact, my friend Liz, that was like, what are you doing tonight while I was on live? I met her through a similar thing. I like went to a rooftop party, and at this rooftop party, I happened to hear people talking about astrology. And so I just saw my way into the conversation. And long story short, I found a friend group that has been so impeccable through so many changes in my life, and she was in it. So it's like, if you just kind of like expose yourself to more experiences, it's a numbers game. Dating and finding your friend groups, it's a numbers game. It's like a lot of people are so sad, feel so alone, feel like they'll never find anybody. I'm like, well, how often are you putting yourself in positions to meet new people? And so it's like, you date one person a year. Yeah, that's probably why you feel undesirable. And so when that one person doesn't want you, you're like, nobody wants me. But it's like, you got to get those numbers up. And again, it's not about playing games, because as soon as you're not playing games. It's just like, you don't know these people. Back to what we were saying before, leave space for learning who they are. Somebody can seem great, but that doesn't mean, right? Like, you should be like, this is it. This is all. Keep meeting people. It doesn't mean that you're stringing anybody along. It doesn't even have to be with romantic intent that you're meeting these other people, but keep meeting people. Keep yourself open. Like, like, let life keep flowing. That was my favorite thing about Emily in Paris. Have you guys seen that show? It's a little, you know what I mean? It's a little, like it's one of those things that people hate watch a little bit, you know what I mean? But I kind of like soapy, silly stuff. But my favorite thing about Emily is that she just kept it rolling. Like, in the beginning, do you notice, like, she kept meeting all these guys? Like, first it was the guy who moved her into her apartment. Then it was the guy that she left on the steps of the opera. It's like, as soon as a guy would give her an ick in that show, she would be on to the next one, right? Like, she did eventually get stuck on her neighbor. But, like, you know what I mean? And so it's like, I miss that about sitcoms. Even in, like, Smacks in the City. If you look at Charlotte's dating life specifically, like, she dates all these people. She keeps rolling. It's like, as soon as she sees the thing that she gives her the ick, the thing she can't move beyond, you never see these characters ruminating over these people who gave them the ick. They go, ugh, gave me the ick, and they move on to the next thing, right? They don't carry this thing of like, oh, they don't go through this mental misery of like, ah, oh, they give me the ick, but they're a warm body. Get a pillow, body pillow. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, there's just such a weird connotation that, like, you gotta work things out when people present traits and behaviors. Why are we working things out with a person you know for 20 days? Why are you working things out with a person you've known for 45 days? Like, what is that to work out? Dating is like going on a job interview. It's like, do you have the things that I would like in a life partner? Yes or no? Yes or no? We don't know until we have more experience. So you got to go have experiences with them, which is, again, why you can't sit up with them on the couch. Why did we say that? Because you don't have the full context of who a person is when you interact with them in a bubble. Can't sit on the couch because you'll never know who they are, because you've never interacted with them out in the world. You have no context for who they are if you're insulated in the little bubble of your relationship. You don't know these people because you've never gone outside with them. You need lived experiences. Like, I told this man this once. I was like, because he was trying to like, oh, we are not so. I was like, look, you like to talk about how you know me, but baby, like, I don't even know how are we in love, and I don't know the first aisle you go down in the grocery store. That, it sounds trivial, but like, that's context, that's information. How are we in love and I don't know how you behave in traffic? What do you mean? We know each other and we're in love, but I don't have any context. I've never even seen you interact with your mother, your parents, your friends. I only know the friends that you work with. We don't know each other. You don't have enough context. You don't have enough context about me. You've never seen me out in the world. You've never seen me interact with the world. You don't know who I am. Be so for real right now. Which also brings us back to Dan Humphrey. Like, he was such a little freak. You know what I mean? Like, he was so insulated in the bubble of who he believed himself to be that he could not see how he showed up in the world. The thing that really got it for me, and let me tell you, So a few years ago, I did this thing called the fully developed frontal lobe rewatch, which meant that now that I'm an adult and my brain is fully formed, I went back and I watched a lot of shows that I liked as a teen and young adult to see if I would react to them in the same way. And Gossip Girl was one of them. And I was like, oh my God, he was horrible the whole time. Because when I was younger, when I was a kid, when I was in high school, I thought Dan Humphrey was so cute and so cool. And I was like, oh my God, I'm such a Vanessa. I hate Vanessa now. She's so not a girl's girl. She's not a good person. None of it. She's a bad person. She's worse than Blair. She's such bad vibes. But when you look at the stuff that happens, like there's this conflict in Gossip Girl in the early seasons where, okay, so a big plot point is that Blair, Serena's best friend, she is recovering from an eating disorder, right? And so she is constantly battling this thing, and she gets put through a lot. Like there's a situation where she goes to a photo shoot, so like all these things that would trigger the anxiety of a person who is recovering from an ED. And so because she's at a photo shoot with the woman who kind of facilitated her developing an ED, her mother, she calls her very best friend in the whole world, Serena, to come be there with her. It's an emergency, right? She's about to like relapse. And so Serena explains that she has an emergency with her best friend who she's known since kindergarten. And Dan, this man that she's known for like a month, is mad. He's like, wow, you're just going to cancel on me for Blair? I knew you were fake. And I was like, this man is a sociopath. This man is a sociopath. This man is a sociopath, right? Can you imagine? You tell this man you've known for 32 days, your best friend has an emergency, because why should you have to explain beyond that? And because he's so radically insecure, he assumes that you're lying. That's crazy. That's Dan Humphrey. Dan freaking Humphrey. Will this live be saved? Yes. If I'm doing this correctly, it's recording as I stream, and it should be up for replay on YouTube. And so also that for my TikTok babes, this will not be reposted in full to TikTok, but the full stream will be on YouTube afterwards. So check that out, you guys. That's information that's needed. Like, I never seen you around, family. Yes. Who are you? You don't know who people are if you don't have the context of who they are. You know what I'm saying? Like information, data points. Okay. So I used to be a marketing data analyst. And so basically there's like different types of data sets. And so there's something called like, when data needs to be cleaned, and data that needs to be cleaned is like data that there's no context for. So it's like if I have a lot of data points, but I don't know the circumstances under which the data occurred. Thank you for the universe. You guys are so sweet. I love you guys so much. Thank you, Tyler. And so like if you don't know the correlation of the data, it's meaningless. And so it's like dirty data, and you usually have to throw it out. And so that happens a lot when we meet people. Like it's dirty data. It's dirty data because it's like it exists in a silo. Because like going back to the example from my dating life, so he made a joke that was a little too close to the edge for me, little too much for me, but it was too close to the edge because I had no context for it. And so if like my best friend Jazz has said this joke, I've known her for like what, 5 years. I know her. I've gone through many lived experiences with her. I've seen her in good times and bad times. I feel confident that I understand who she is. If she made this joke, I might have laughed. And like, shut up. You know what I mean? I'm like, you are ridiculous. Be quiet. But this man that I've known 7 days, like, I don't have any context for who you are. We have no lived experiences. I don't know if you mean this. I don't know if this is the content of your heart. And you know that I don't know that. And so like the biggest of it all is like, I don't know you like that. And you decided to say this. Because if this is a romantic situation And what I'm hoping for is to make a good impression, because I think there's potential for you to be like a life partner. If you just don't like who I am, sure, fine, great. But to say something that I know might be offensive, that's interesting to me. You know what I mean? So it's like, why would you say that in a situation where you likely are trying to make a good impression? Like, do you not care to make a good impression? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like, like, that's what I can't get past sometimes, because it's like, I said it like this to my friend. When you're dating somebody, especially in the beginning, and you're getting to know them, I'd say the first 30 days, first 60 days, but definitely the first 30 days, you shouldn't say anything to that person that you wouldn't say in a job interview. Straight and simple, right? Like, if you know that that would be offensive to say in a work setting, why you should not say that to the person that you're getting to know? Because again, best foot forward. And like, you're not supposed to be too intimate. You're not supposed to be like funny offensive. Like, if you have certain types of humor, that's fine. Because I remember I said that I have dark humor. And I want to take a pause there for a moment, because what I want to tell you is that if you ever wanted to find out, if you ever wanted to know if the man in your life, whether you're a man, a woman, or a non-binary, if you ever want to know if the man that has come into your life, platonically or romantically, is a good person or not, tell him you like dark humor. Because what I've learned is that if you tell a man that you like dark humor, he will assume that you mean that you're okay with him saying effed up things. So to me, dark humor is like, oh, that couple was so cute, I want to go lay on a train track. That's a dark joke. But I've learned that dark jokes to men are like race jokes. He didn't say this, but just most of them are word jokes. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to see somebody feel comfortable enough to show you the worst of them, tell men that you like dark jokes. Life hack. So I told him I like dark jokes, which is how we got to that very like offensive joke, where I'm like, that's not dark. That's are you okay? Where were you on Jan 6? You know, let me see your Twitter likes. What did you used to search on Tumblr? What's your go-to Reddit, like, subreddit? Like that's how that joke felt. I was like, that wasn't dark. That was why is that was like, why would you say that? It was like, what's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you wouldn't say it in a job setting, you shouldn't say it in the first 30 days of getting to know a person. And I know people feel weird about that. Like, well, you need to. I was like, no, like I said, like, I acknowledge that I like dark jokes without telling a dark joke. It's just a fact. Like, you can tell people things about yourself, because like, if you feel, I don't recommend talking about intimate things with somebody that early, because I want to gauge how fast that they try to bring that up, if that makes sense. Like, because you can also tell a lot about a man, specifically a straight man specifically, by how quickly he tries to bring physical intimacy into the conversation in any capacity. Sometimes it's like outright like them saying stuff to you, but sometimes it's like them tiptoeing around it just as a topic, as a subject, like a cute little topic. And so I'm always looking to clock how quickly a man brings that up on his own. So I don't recommend talking about it in the first 30 days, but even if you were, because you want to make sure that you're like sexually compatible without investing too much time, I think there are ways to talk about it without talking about it. You know what I mean? It's like, you could be like, oh yeah, I've always been adventurous in relationships. You know what I mean? Like, I've always been like, you know, like very outright about what I like. You know, that there are I don't want to use the term ladylike, but there are proper ways to talk about things without it being a little like too hot to trot. And so like, I just feel very strongly, anything that you would not say in a job interview, whether it's an offensive joke or just like too much intimacy too fast. Like when you have to go around the staff meeting and talk about what you did for the weekend. No, that's not how we bond, babe. Because like what I did this weekend was for me. I don't want my coworkers knowing me like this. Relax. They don't need to know what I did this weekend. What do you mean? No. What? Because then when I tell you something crazy, you're going to be looking at me crazy. Like, why would I say that? Because it's what I did. You asked me and I answered. Be mad at yourself, because why would you ask me what I do in my personal time as a form of bonding? If I wanted you to know what I do on my personal time, I would invite you. And since you weren't invited, maybe you should take the hint. You know? Like what on God's green earth? And so it's like, yeah, a lot of them have the Dan Humphrey complex where they're just like, I don't think the problem's me. I think it's the world. No, it can't be my personality. It must be because I'm ugly. No, it can't be my personality. It must be the fact that I have unique interests, even though they're really cute and likable girls who have really, really niche interests, right? Like, you're a girl and you like anime? It's a cartoon, sir. It's a cartoon, sir. Like, what do you mean? It's a cartoon. It's just a cartoon. You're a girl and you like video games? That is also a cartoon, sir. That's also it's just a cartoon. What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, I'm sorry people bullied you in, what was that, 15 years ago? How old are you now? Because like most of the men that I date or meet, when I date men, because I was like, when or if I date a man, if, they're older than me. And so they're usually in like their mid to late 30s. How old are you? How long ago was that you were getting bullied for liking anime? Well, girls didn't like me in high school because was it the anime? Was it the anime? How did you start the conversation? You know what I mean? Like, and then proof to that, because I think one thing we can actually trust, right, is that I'm a fairly thoughtful person, fairly, maybe, dare I say it, intellectual person that really likes intellectually stimulating conversations. Can we all just agree on that just a little bit, right? Like, we can agree on that. And there's this one guy who just wasn't making a great impression, but we shared this love of ideals, and he just really thought like that was enough for him to be the one. And I just needed him to understand. I was like, even as a woman who loves ideas, I told him, I was like, the guy I dated before you was a total Labrador retriever. What do I mean by that? I'll tell you. I used to say things to, we'll call him Bobby. I used to say things to Bobby. I'd be like, I've been meditating on this quote from Bell Hooks, da-da-da-da-da. And Bobby would be like, oh my God, like, no, Bobby would straight up be like, I don't really know what that means, but I really love it when you talk, and it sounds really interesting. Like, do girls not like you because, like, of your interests? Because Bobby was interested in nothing. Bobby was just vibes. Bobby did not think. Bobby was just there, like, oh my God, there's nothing going on up here ever. But I liked him. I liked him. I like Bobby. I like Bobby. It's like, girls don't really care if you have a good personality and you're nice to her, she will not care that you like anime, sir. It's like, tell the whole truth, right? And again, high school's hard. Everybody's trying to figure stuff out. Children are terrible people. We can say that. But so it's like, also, what if you just recognize that children are terrible people? And so it's time to move on from the fact that nobody liked you in high school. Children are terrible people. So like, maybe it's not that girls didn't like you. Maybe it was that children are terrible people. And now that we're all adults, it doesn't make sense for you to carry and hold on to this thing that happened to you as a child. Move on. Move on. Grow up. it's time, it's time, it's time. You know what I mean? It's like you want to hold on to all these arbitrary reasons for why girls don't like you, and it's really like you don't shower. It's really like you let the intrusive thoughts win, right? It's really like you would know charm if it hit you in the face. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe, you know, like it's not all the things, it's you. uh it's like I love being barefoot and want to find a girl who is fine with it, but most women in Kansas and Missouri are so put off by this very strange sheltered Midwest mentality. How sad. They go to, you know, I think, you know, I don't think it's that they have a problem with you being barefoot. I think it's more like a concern maybe about hygiene, right? I think, and this isn't like, I don't know your hygiene, but I think when people hear that, they just don't know. They don't have enough context. They don't know if you're saying you like to go outside barefoot and then just come back in the house and vibe. They don't know if you go outside barefoot and then you immediately wash your feet off. They don't know what that means because they don't have context. I'm sure there's plenty of women who also enjoy being barefoot. I mean, when I was in college, bad decisions, bad vibes. I would not recommend it, but like if you're into it, but like I went through a spell where I used to hang out at like, there's like an observatory planetary area on campus, and I like to hang out at night at the observatory with my shoes off. And so like whatever weird thing or perceivably weird thing that you believe that you're into, there is a woman who is also into it. But also like people just don't know what you mean sometimes. Like if you just say you like to be barefoot, they're like, what do you mean? Like so you wash your feet out. They don't trust it. Like, you know, so it's like, again, I don't think it's like there's no woman in the world who would like that. I just think maybe give them context. If you can survive high school and middle school, you're good, bro. Trust me. Just for the record, I'm recording. For the record, I'm saying true to she won't care. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like, trust me, even if it's like actually some weirdo BS, there's a woman out there who likes it, regrettably. I mean, honestly, if you just scroll TikTok long enough, you'll find, I don't know, like I think some of the stuff that I see on my FYP and my Twitter, like if men could see that, they would just feel so much better, because all the time I'm like, sister, my sister in Christ, come here. Let me hold your hands. Like, what do you mean you've been doing X, Y, and Z for a man? Like what, like everything that men claim to want in this world, there's a woman out there who will happily and readily do it. And it makes me very sad, but I just think it should make them happy. And I think really men should tell the truth. It's not really that they don't know any women who like the stuff they like. It's that they don't want the women that like the stuff they like, right? So they're like, they feel a little better than the women who like what they like. And so like, they're not people who believe in things being equally yoked. And so it'll be like the guy who's like, everybody thinks I'm a nerd because I like anime. And that's why I can't find a date. And then like, here's this girl who likes anime. She's such a nerd. I don't want her. It's like, why? Like a lot of men feel entitled to dating outside of their leagues. And that's if we believe leagues exist. We don't have to believe that leagues exist. I'm not saying that, but like, I do think there's something about things being equally yoked, right? And so it's like, you know, and so it's like, is it that no woman likes what you like? Or is it, do you have kind of like a complex where maybe you want to prove something to the other men or people in general by like attracting a woman who you know doesn't give a crap about those things, to validate your interest in an unpopular thing? Is it that there's no woman who likes what you like? Or is it that you are looking for a woman who is capable of validating you and your unpopular interests to the men who have rendered you an outcast? You know what I mean? And it's like, and if you were to actually pay attention to the woman who likes what you like, it wouldn't help you get that validation, because you don't believe that just any woman's going to impress your friends or the guys that you want to be friends with or your boss. You believe you need the specific woman that's going to validate your masculinity, your presence within a community, within a space, to do that, which also is a Dan Humphrey thing, right? Like, it's revealed that he literally told Vanessa, his best friend, his chosen soulmate, that he loves her. And so she came back into the scene. So, like, she's painted as a villain for breaking them up. But it's like, he told her he loved her and then, like, disappeared, because why Serena popped back up. Serena came back in town. And so the minute he could have a girl that would give him what status within the society that he believes, like, he's better than, but he really wants to rise the ranks. So you're better than them, but you want to rise in the ranks. Suspicious. So as soon as the woman who can give him validation within this world, because she's the queen, comes back, he doesn't care about Vanessa, who is equally yoked with him, his perfect match, his chosen best friend, grew up together. This Vanessa is already the woman that he wants to be with. Vanessa is the woman that Dan Humphrey tries to make Serena cosplay as. So he's like, so he goes after this rich, super rich, legacy rich socialite girl, and it's like, you're so shallow for being a socialite girl. You knew that when you approached her, dum-dum. Like, I wish you'd read more books. I wish you like my interests. I wish you did. You already know that woman. Dan already knew that woman. He already knew the woman who would do that. But he's like, well, if I'm with Vanessa, Chuck and Nate aren't gonna think I'm cool. It's not gonna, and get me into the boys club. But if I can pull Serena, a woman that they respect, they didn't respect her. Hello. Like, just because a man thinks you're hot, just because a man that's not the same as being desirable. It's not the same as being respected. Hello. Anyways, but he's like, if I can get this girl in this world, it'll give me status. And so it's like, a lot of men have that complex where it's like, it's not really about getting a girl. And not to say this is true of everybody or the guy who put this in the chat, but like 9 times out of 10, it's not like they can't find a girl with their interests. It's like they can't find a girl who will impress the people that they want to impress, or who will make them feel better about themselves, that likes their stuff. And that last part is like a really popular thing, because sometimes it's not about impressing other people. Sometimes it's like, men are so hyper aware of themselves and who they are, and they don't like who they are. Thank you, Lucky, for the TikTok universe. And they don't like who they are. And so to make themselves feel better about who they are, they go get a woman that can validate their identity in a way that takes them away from it. But if they were to end up with a woman that reminds them of themselves, like, it makes them feel worse about themselves, because it reflects reality back, which is also true of another character played by, I lost his name, but the guy who plays Dan Humphrey, it also reminds me of his character, Joe, that he plays in You. Because one of the biggest questions, if you've seen the You series, one of the biggest questions is like, why did he hate his wife, Love, so much? Like, he thought she was a bad... So if you don't know, and this isn't really spoilers, guys, the show's been out for some years. In the series, Joe is basically... an unaliver. He unalives people, right? And so he finally finds a woman who also unalives people, right? After chasing good girls who don't unalive people, he finally ends up with a woman just like him, and he hates her. He thinks she's a bad person. And what it really comes down to is that as long as he was with a woman who was mentally stable and was not unaliving people, he did not have to face the truth of who he was. But when he was with a woman that was equally yoked with him, that shared his hobbies, dark though they may be, it's too much. It's like, wow, now you're forcing me to confront myself and who I am, and that's not what I wanted. He was like, I wanted a relationship to take me away from myself. I wanted a relationship to make me feel like I'm not who I am. I wanted to be a little delulu. You are reminding me, you're showing me a reflection of who I am. So he's like, this is not it. And a lot of men are like that. It's like that complex we talk about, where like the woman a man is with when he's poor or he's on the come up, oftentimes it's not the woman that he keeps when he gets on. Again, it's not true all the time. We're not saying 100% this is going to happen. We're just saying it happens a lot. And so the reason why that happens is because the woman he was with when he was poor reminds him that he was poor. The woman that he was with when he was busted reminded him that he was busted. And so he wants the girl who is the dream of how he sees himself, right? And so like the women that are equally yoked with him reminds him, if he feels like he's a loser, it's going to reaffirm the fact that he's a loser if he dates a woman who does the same stuff he is in the same, you know what I'm saying? So it's like a lot of times it's that. Men want you to be their fantasy, which also becomes really annoying for women, the women they pursue, because what I can tell you about what it feels like to be on the other side of that, and I'm not saying this as a judgment of these people, I'm saying this as somebody who lived through these experiences unknowingly to get to the end of it and being like, oh, you're not actually interested in the same thing as me. So I'm not saying that I thought these people were losers or that I thought I was better. I'm just saying a lot of times those relationships ended once I realized that these people were not who they presented themselves to be. And so what that feels like on the other end is like you feel like you've been lied to, and you feel like you're being like, and it feels really lonely because, like, for example, I know I present in the world as like a intellectual person, and so sometimes men like my golden retriever who want to feel like they're very smart without doing the work of being thoughtful will date me. And you know, they'll present themselves in a certain way, a certain like okay, let's talk about the golden retriever. So like when we were getting to know each other, he'd be like, oh yeah, I volunteer at the animal shelter, because he knew I had a dog. And he was like, yeah, I one of my favorite books is what's that book with the quote of like, the universe is conspiring to bring you stuff? I can't think of the name of it, but it's like one of those books that, The Alchemist. He was like, my favorite book is The Alchemist. You know what I mean? So like he presented himself in these ways to get me. And then, you know, I'd bring up stuff like the book I've been reading. He was like, I don't know what that means, but cute, right? Because it's like a performance to him. He was like, you are performing the behavior that I want to be associated with, right? For status reasons, but it's not really, my eyelash, this is not happening. I gotta take this off. He's like, but you know, he has nothing to offer to the situation and the scenario because it's like, it's not who he is. You know what I'm saying? So like it ends up being this really weird thing for all parties because like 9 times out of 10, the man doesn't actually get his whatever he's trying to validate validated. He just feels bad. So he puts himself in a situation with a woman he personally believes is better than him because it represents a lifestyle that he wants access to, but he doesn't have. And and it's not easy for him because it's not genuine to him or his situation. So it constantly reminds him that he's an outsider, like Dan Humphrey. And he starts to like resent her a little bit, which is what the video Men Hate You, Why Men Hate You was about. It wasn't about all men hate women. I was saying, you know, when men take this specific action of pursuing a woman that represents the life that they feel like they don't have access to, no matter how much she actually loves him, he just kind of feels really, really weird about it because she constantly reminds him of what he's not. And that's what was happening with Dan Humphrey. So it's like, no matter how much he like immerses himself into the society, he wasn't born into money. And Serena was born into money and has born into money experiences. And so like just through her lived experiences, it constantly reminds him that he comes from nothing. Upper middle class white people, nothing. So not nothing, because that loft was crazy. Have y'all seen the loft that Dan Humphrey lived in Gossip Girl? And mind you, they live in New York. And they're trying to convince me that Dan Humphrey is broke, and that go look at that darn apartment and tell me, like, if you really think a broke New Yorker would be able to afford that loft. That was crazy. And so like Dan wasn't even a brokey, not for real. He just wasn't, you know, 3rd, 8th, 9th generation of wealth. And so he had a complex. And because it bothered him personally, like Serena didn't care he was a brokey. It's still uneven. What is happening? Why can't I fix this? Serena didn't care he was a brokey. And that's also really quick why a lot of women will pretend to care about money. It's not that women actually care about money. is that they've learned that if a man doesn't have money, he's gonna make it her problem. The same thing about men being tall. It's not really that women don't like short men. It's that short men usually have a complex, and nobody wants to deal with that. And so Serena didn't care that he was broke, but Dan cared that he was broke. Like, even isn't that like the first episode when they go on the date? Y'all remember? She was like, I'm gonna get to be a part of his world. She's excited to immerse herself in his world. Why? Because when you only hang out with somebody in a bubble, you don't have the context of who they truly are. And so she really wants a real relationship. So she wants to be in his world. But instead of like allowing her to see who he truly is and create real emotional intimacy, he cosplays as the man he wants to feel like by dating her. And it's a terrible date because she's like, this is not what I wanted. Like, I wanted you for you. But he cannot believe for a single moment that she would want him. He doesn't believe that she would want him. And so he participates in self-sabotaging behavior, because even though she said yes to going on a date, being in a relationship, he cannot believe in his head for a second that this woman would want him. It's insanity. And a lot of men behave like that. And so like he starts becoming resentful of her life, her friends, this woman he chose, this woman who he knew exactly who she was when he pursued her, knew what she was, knew what she wasn't, started dating her, resented her for bringing what he wanted. Oh my God. I'm not winning. You know what I mean? And then was constantly trying to change her when the woman who already presented as what he wanted was right there. But like, Vanessa was not gonna impress the boys he hates, the boys he thinks he's better than. He's trying to impress them. Okay, Dan, all right, Dan. And it would have been one thing if it was just high school, but like the series follows them into college and beyond. And like, Dan is a grown ASS man. Or I don't need to say us twice if I say double. My bad. But you know what I mean? Like, he's grown. And he's still like playing these games. And he's like, I am better than people in your world because you're shallow. Okay, Dan. You know what I mean? Let's see. Right about money. Last 3 sisters were because I tried not to judge. No, you need to judge. Like, why shouldn't you judge? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not you, but like the belief that women shouldn't judge is so silly because you have to take in all this information to be able to determine if you want to be with that person. And the way I see it is like, your intimacy, your love, your body should not be an equal opportunist situation. Why should every person have an equal opportunity at your body? And if they did, they'd call you a WHORE. What? And so it's like, why would you not like have a set of guidelines of like, this is what qualifies and here's what doesn't? And like, again, a lot of times if money does happen to matter beyond like your fear that a man will take it out on you, it's usually because like you have a real concern about financial stability. And I don't know how many of you guys grew up poor. I grew up poor, and so I'm like, there might be some situations that are difficult and hard to circumvent, but I'm not going to do that on purpose. And so it's like, I'm not gonna put myself in a difficult situation. And the truth of the matter is, it's like, you need money to be alive. And it's like, it's not like, oh, woe is him, but like, maybe he should go get with a person with a lot of money too. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe we both should pursue somebody with more resources than us so that we can be okay. So it's like, living in a box for a warm and fuzzy feeling. How warm and fuzzy are your feelings going to be if you live in a box? We're going to be fighting about money. So like, oh, love should matter. Like, but how are we going to experience the feelings of being in love if we're in poverty in America? Like, can you explain logical sex? Can you explain? It's like, if my vibes are bad because we can't make rent, we can't eat, we can't afford to live, where is the happily ever after? I don't know. Judging saves you time and unnecessarily heartbreak. Yeah. Yeah, his dad was a musician that pulled Serena's mom. You know what I'm saying? Oh, guys, you know what? So I actually made a YouTube video on this like 3 months ago, but it got deleted, and I had so much depression about it that I never remade it. But about the Dan Humphrey syndrome, and in it, I say that my unpopular opinion that I believe is deeply canon is that those children are only at that school because Dan Humphrey's dad, Rufus, is trying to get back with Serena's mom. Because, like, think about it. In the very opening scene at the Humphrey loft, Jenny says that Rufus forced them to go to that school. He forced them to go there specifically. And it is revealed to us later in the episode that Rufus knew that Lily's children went there. And so, like, that's the really messed up thing about it. Like, this all happens because Rufus is trying to manipulate Lily into getting back into a relationship with him, which is really, really weird. Ick. But back to what you said about judging. It's your job to judge. Why would you not judge? Like, again, it's like, why should your body, your heart, and your emotions not, why should that be equal opportunists? That don't make sense. And anybody that you're dating, they are dating you for a reason. You check the box for them. They're not an equal opportunist. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but women, I mean, and then it's like, especially if you're going to be the person using your womb, like, why would I just put anything in my womb? My body, my whole body, like, what's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of the stuff that it's like supposed to be like commonly accepted, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's not logical. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. But yeah, it's really only supposed to be on live for a couple of hours, and we are at the couple of hours, but you see what I mean? But yeah, for those of you who just tuned in, this is Thank God Friday Roxz, because we're very excited that it's Friday, and every Friday we'll be on the stream trying new things. Today, the new thing we're trying is I'm trying to do a cute beat, which is a makeup term for good makeup, with $5 makeup. I don't know if this was accomplished, but it's not as bad as I might have thought. This is $5 and below makeup. The mascara, this, all of it. This is actually my favorite thing. I used to get this on Amazon anyway. So I was really excited that this was at the $5 and below store. This, oh my God, like if you just put this on your face with nothing else, it'll give you this cute little dewy glow. Love this. But that was the challenge today, was like just to try something new. Maybe next week I'll take you into the details of how I put this wallpaper up, which was definitely a new experience, redecorating my room. So maybe, but like every Friday we'll be here trying something new because it's Friday and having these types of conversations. So thank you, for joining me for the first ever Thank God Friday Roxz, on whether you're on TikTok or YouTube. If you missed this conversation in full, the playback of it will be on YouTube, so you can go back and watch the whole thing to get the full grasp of what is the Dan Humphrey syndrome, how are men, like all of the things we talk about, dating apps, how to navigate them, how to find your community, red flags, find that up front, you feel me? But yeah, every Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, we'll be here, and if you'd like to chat about the stuff that we talked about today, join my Discord. I'm gonna immediately log on to Discord. Well, actually, I'm gonna go get some pita chips because I'm kind of hungry, so I'm gonna go get my pita chips, and then I'm gonna immediately log into Discord for those who want to like chit chat about these things further. So join my Discord, link in bio, you feel me? If you want to chat further, if you want to check out the books that I referenced during this conversation, my reading list with my notes and my observations and my thoughts and my takeaways, it's also in my bio. So go get my reading list, Thank you, Sarah, for the TikTok universe. Thank you to everybody who sent gifts. You are amazing. If you don't know, also what I'm working on. So also please go watch this restream on YouTube. And so everybody wants me to get a podcast. I too would like to have a podcast, but unlike, the things we post on YouTube and TikTok, which can earn you a little bit of ad share, podcasts actually earn you nothing. And so, like, unlike the music we put up on Spotify, I'm a musician, by the way, you earn nothing at all from podcast streams. And so I was like, I don't know. I already have so many different, like, content silos. I don't know if I could do a content type that earns me nothing right now, because I'm not earning a lot on YouTube yet. I was like, what if, I start, doing podcast style YouTube videos and going live, and I let the earnings from that allow me to invest in things for the podcast. Because also the mic I have, it's nice. No, it's not nice. It's just a little dingy. Like when I was doing YouTube with that mic, people were like, I can't understand you. And you really want good quality if you're going to put something out into the world. I'm a Virgo, guys. And so I was like, we'll try to get a little something going over on with the ad share over on YouTube, and I'll use that money to invest in a microphone. And so if you enjoyed this conversation, you can go watch it from the beginning on YouTube, and when you watch it, it'll earn ad share, and I'll be able to invest in, podcast stuff. And also the gifts you send will go towards that too. So I appreciate you. It's not necessary to send gifts. I think it's so cool that you're here. Usually when I go live, there's like 2 people. And so I'm really happy that you all joined. So, but if you want to watch, thank you to everybody who sent gifts. You're amazing. You help make this content happen. You were the best. Thank you to everybody who's a patron on Patreon. You are thebomb.com. But yeah, if you want to watch it from the beginning, this will be on YouTube. It might, take a second to percolate and upload and update, you feel me? Because we've been on for a few hours, so give the stream a second to process. But while it's processing, join us on Discord. Join us on Discord. The invite link is in the bio, and if you can't find it, DM me. I'll send it to you. I'm around. But thanks for hanging out for the inaugural Thank God Friday Roxz. And so I think we can also conclude, even though I'm not very good at makeup, that you can make a decent face with $5 makeup. Now, I might have acne tomorrow. I have fear. I have a lot of fear. So we'll see what I like. I'll upload a photo to my stories tomorrow to see if it broke me out. But so far it looks cute. And maybe next week I'll show you how I'm doing a redesign project on my room. I need to do the curtains yet. But yeah, so all right, I love you guys.